Thank you everyone. Thank you, Sam. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, first of all protocols observed. My name is Edwin Sifuna. I'm your senator here in Nairobi. I'm also the deputy whip of the minority in the Senate, and that's the reason why I came late. I want to apologize. I came late because we have sittings in the morning on Wednesdays, and as a whip, it's my responsibility to ensure that the sessions don't collapse due to lack of quorum. So I had to make sure that the session begins before I come here. Karoli has also reminded you that I am still the SG of ODM, and we will address those issues shortly. But first of all, Ndindi, there is no one in this room who thinks that when we are talking about the 125 people who are richer than the 43 million of us, that Sifuna is on that list. I just happen to be sitting next to you because I've seen some articles about shareholders of Kenya Power and this dividend manenos. We will address them very shortly. The conversation that is going on Parliament now is actually the debate on the President's State of the Nation address, and it is a critical conversation. I am actually very happy to have come to this particular launch because I believe that the State of the Nation is the state of the people. And luckily for me, I have not yet gotten my opportunity to debate. And the people at Oxfam, all I can say is you don't know what you have done. You don't know what you have done. Because with this report, this is a very powerful weapon. All I usually tell people is just hand me the bat. I will swing that bat. Because the statistics that we are seeing here are grim statistics. When you look at Article 132 on what the President is expected to do in the State of the Nation, he's supposed to tell us all the measures taken and the progress that has been achieved by his government in realizing the values in Article 10 that Karoli Omondi has spoken about. And if you look at those articles, in fact, human dignity, equity, social justice, and equality are some of those, that he's supposed to tell us what he has done in the past 3 years to realize this. Unfortunately for me, when I see this report, I can actually state without fear of contradiction that this report is what should have been presented in Parliament as a State of the Nation, not the other one that was read there. And my key takeaways, as my colleagues have also said, one, Ndindi and another 124 people, richer than 43 million of us, 40%, 46% of the Kenyans living in extreme poverty, 70% facing hunger, that Kenya's wealth is not missing, it's actually being siphoned by the people in power. And that Nairobi, the capital, the people that I lead, is the most unequal county in Kenya. And if you just look at, for instance, the question of education that he has spoken about, 70% of the school-going children in Nairobi actually are in formal schools. And the inequality that results from that is that, first of all, the Ministry of Education does not recognize those institutions as schools. So they don't get any support from the government. They are called upbed schools. Now, we have had a conversation with the Member of Parliament for Mathare, and he has sponsored a bill to amend the Education Act in order that these schools are recognized by national government. Because some of the criteria there for registration of a school does not make sense in Nairobi. If you ask somebody for 4 acres of land in Mathare to register a school, where are you getting 4 acres of land in Mathare? And I'm happy to say that because the bill has to come to the Senate, I am also going to co-sponsor that bill in the Senate to make sure we recognize this school and get them the support they need. Secondly, we have a school feeding program here in Nairobi. It gobbles up almost 1 billion shillings of what Nairobi gets in terms of its equitable share. But because it is only implemented in the primary schools that are registered, it means we are only using that money to feed 30% of the school-going kids. We have had a conversation with the governor of Nairobi from the time he was elected. In fact, it was a campaign promise that this school feeding program has to be extended to the upbed schools because those kids also deserve that meal. And it is our taxes, it is our allocation as Nairobi. It is very unfair that we use 1 billion annually to only feed 30% of our kids. So there are conversations going. When he comes to the Senate, he gives us stories about how he's going to introduce a program where at lunchtime, the kids from the informal schools are allowed to go into the public schools and have lunch there. But it is yet to be implemented. Then lastly, on education, we have been very saddened. By the way, Ndindi has spoken about it, that starting January, the free day secondary education that was introduced by Kibaki is going to be thrown under the bus by the so-called Kenya Kwanza administration. And for me, I've been more than clear. There's nothing called broad-based government. The government in power today is a Kenya Kwanza government. Even if Sifuna is appointed to that government, I am going to serve Ruto and his government and implement policies. You don't see those people implementing ODM policies. See, we promised that we would be giving you 6,000 every month if we got into power. Have you seen that money? So it is not the ODM manifesto. That is the Kenya Kwanza manifesto they're implementing. So for me, the conversations this morning are very important, because if you see the data and the statistics, we have also spoken about the taxation, that the labor income is taxed more than the capital income, and that the government is so lazy in terms of growing the number of people who can be taxed, but they decided that they are going to tax the ones that are already on the in the formal sector to death. You know, you can decide you have one cow that you milk until blood starts coming out, or get 2 cows and milk 5 liters each per day. So you have to create opportunities. You have seen the report here saying that some of the drivers of inequality is that we are not creating quality jobs. There are actually no jobs. If you just grew the number of people on the payslip group, then you have a larger base from which to tax. But they have decided that the few of you who are on the payroll are going to be taxed to death. When I look at how much money I contribute in the housing levy and these other ones, it drives me insane, man. It's crazy. I pay over 35,000 shillings for housing levy alone. And it is ridiculous. Because as I've told Ndindi there, I'm not a very rich man. That 35,000 can help me somewhere. Then there is, which one have I left out? There is solutions that have been proposed in this report. And I want to say one thing about the generation of leaders that you've seen here, Karoli, myself, and Ndindi, is first of all, good leaders must accept that there are things that you don't know, that you have certain blind spots, that there are experts and people who can give you the knowledge and the data, and that there are solutions that are progressive solutions that you can actually adapt and save the country. The problem is we have people in office who are know-it-alls. He knows everything. He's farmer number 1, doctor number 1. He is the one who knows, he says his aggregate smarts is more than all the previous presidents combined. Who told you? We should be seeing a difference in our country if we have the most brilliant government in power today. But that is the direct opposite. Now, for me, you know, my friends here, they will, I don't know how I can say it. We are past the stage, PS, where you can tell us that your government is going to go and sit down and review this report. That's not for you now. That is for us. That is for us. Because with less than 18 months to the next general election, if you are still reviewing these things now, then we have lost our way. I remember there was a time when China told us how many people they have in poverty. And they would report every year saying, this year we have moved 10 million from poverty. Wamebaki 20 million. If you give us next year, we will do another 20. Until they exhausted everybody who was there. That's the sort of conversations we want. But I want to challenge you, Ndindi. At this particular point, don't look to this government to do anything. We have to prescribe a solution. And there's only one solution. If you go to the Constitution prescribes in the preamble what sort of government Kenyans wanted in order for us to end these issues of inequality. It wanted a government based on 6 essential values. And the first one is human rights. The second one is equality. The third one is freedom. The fourth one is democracy. Fifth is social justice. And the last one is rule of law. That is the criteria for a government. Not stadiums, not markets, not dual carriageways, none of those. So if your government does not fit in these 6 criteria, you have no business being in government. This is why, Sifuna, I am very confident in saying, your time is up, Bwana PS. Your time is up. We want to come together and form a government based on those 6 essential values. Everything else you do must be within the bounds of these 6 essential values. So mimi siongeangi mambo mingi, mimi wanasema tu kama hatuna hii serikali, then there is nothing else. Let me just finish by addressing my brother Karoli on this question of the Political Parties Act. First of all, it's not 11 billion, it's 12 billion. We want 12 billion from the exchequer. Now, there is a thinking that went into the political parties fund, Karoli, that in fact you need to free these institutions, the political institutions, because they are the drivers of democracy, from influence. From influence. And the influence of money in politics is known to cause those inequalities that you have spoken about. If you insulate political parties from government interference, from external influence, because even if you look at the act, you are not allowed as a political party to receive money from foreign sources. That is something that you know. And this 12 billion has accumulated from 2014 because the law that you passed in the National Assembly, because the Senate doesn't touch money bills. No. You passed a bill that requires that 0.3% of the revenue is set aside for political parties. Now, there is nothing wrong. If you feel that political parties don't deserve that money, just amend the law. But for as long as the law is there, you have to comply with the law. And we are within our rights to insist on something that is legal. So what happens is, right now, the people in power successively, because unfortunately ODM has not been able to form government, the people in power use this money as a tool to cripple political parties. To cripple political parties, cripple political activity. And you have spoken about, even you might have good candidates, people who want to run for parliament, for the Senate, or as MCAs, but they are crippled because our politics is very expensive. I will tell you, in the last election, because of support from some of our friends, we were able to support women who are running in single constituencies, because that is where the problem is. In the Senate, we have almost achieved the 2/3 gender rule. I think we are less by 1. In the National Assembly, there's a problem. And the only way to do that is to get these brilliant women in the constituencies and remove the hurdles to why they don't run for office. You use the money from the taxpayer to uplift these people. You give them the nomination fees, you give them the application fees, you give them money to campaign. Karoli, if I look at my records, I send you money from ODM for the 2027 election. My records are there. We supported all our candidates, including Sifuna. I received money from you as taxpayers to campaign. That is how you feel these inequalities even in politics. So the figure might appear large, it is big, but yes, there was a reasoning behind putting this money in the political parties so that they are free from all these things. So finally, I want to urge all of us, we fall back to our constitution. Let us make sure that when the next general election comes, we elect people who actually believe in these values. Let nobody sell you any other stories. Those other things, I am sure that a person who believes in human dignity will still build houses. Yeah. But you can't build houses on top of bodies of people you've killed. That is not acceptable. So let's frame the conversation in Irungu. Let's frame the conversation. A good person will do good things. Yeah, you have to believe in these values, and the rest of us who don't believe in them, your time is up, you need to go home. Is there anything I've not said? WANTAM. Asante.
Okay. All right.